Hey, I'm back with another video. This is rare. Arch will back with another walkthrough in just 1 month. That's kind of unheard of. Well, today I wanted to break down my remix for Twolf and Hylia, or Hylia, Twilight Princess. So, the particle file isn't that big. It's just a normal size. This is the original. If you haven't heard, I'll just show it a bit. Yeah, you get the idea, I'm assuming. Well, let's just mute this one. So, I'll play you a bit of the song, then I'll walk you through it. Okay, so that was the intro. So to start things off, I have this piano reverse. That's how I typically start my songs, and you know, the typical atmosphere. It builds the more it goes. The more the song progresses, the more it builds. My Reese bass, this is like my signature sound at this point, this Reese bass here. Piano, again it's a lo-fi light 2, such a beautiful piano, you should definitely get it, it's completely free. I have this arpeggio going on, which to my knowledge Twolf really loves this. I'll show you how I made it. So basically it's a preset that I found about this music box. To give it a sparkly sound, it's this plugin right here. I think it's called Finisher Micro by UJam. A random note, dude, UJam, to download this plugin is such a pain. My account wasn't working, so it was such a pain. But yeah, honestly, it's such a good plugin. It's completely free. Just go on UJam and you can find it. Like this first preset, if you have it on like this around here, it gives it such a beautiful crystally sound. Kind of like what a Sound Toys Crystallizer does, but not exactly, but it sounds so good. See, it's just a bell, but with this, it has that sort of sparkly sound. It's so beautiful. So next we have this from the original stems. Just some ad-libs. I don't think I've done anything to this other than they're just cleaning up a bit of auto-tune. Hylia, if you're watching this, I'm so sorry to put auto-tune on your vocals. I just love the sound of auto-tune. Though I don't really use it for the main vocals. I'll tell you why later though. There's a high layer. There's a normal layer. Well, that's about it for the intro. Let's go to the verse. My tragedy, my legacy. Dreaming on a direction I can't compete. Faded prophecy. For the longest time, I've been struggling with this song so much because it's such a weird arrangement, the original. I've had this drum groove going on, which is just a basic drum. And there's nothing really going on other than the atmosphere, just this brass hit from Dirty Phonics to give it a bit of a vibe. Well, let's move on to the build-up. Part of So remember that I told that I didn't use auto-tune for the main vocals? This is the reason why, because on the build-up the key changes. Like it goes from crashing into you. Like it goes from minor to major, so the auto-tune was freaking out. And I didn't necessarily wanted to do extra work and like make it unique, add another auto-tune and automate it, but I just changed the whole key of the song instead. Like right here the piano chords change. Which some people may like and some people may not, but I personally liked it, so I kept it. The respace stays the same. There are some impacts here, some white noise sweeps and impacts. This is from Jano's sample pack. It's completely free. You should definitely get it. I use this particular transition a lot. It's one of my most favorites. Genre, if you're watching this, which I don't think you are, thank you for making this pack. Man, I love you for this pack. And you know, the rest of the build is kind of just typical claps and drums, snare, risers, endless smile, volume automation. And that's about it. Let's go for the drop. Okay, so to bring the song into the drop, I have this automation, which is essentially this EQ filter I have, like a telephone effect. I basically have this to like kind of bring the listener in. I got this idea from the second drop because the second drop sounded so good. I originally didn't really had a cool transition for the first drop, but I tried this and I liked it, so it kind of worked. I have a sub drop. I have some drums. I made like this drum loop, very basic, but it works. So these are the drums. So kind of like any drums, like any other sort of drum pattern that I have. The only difference is this snare is made with this hi-hat. It's right here. It's this, but I just stretched it out so much and like pitched it down 36 semitones, so it sounds like a gong or like a mallet. For the snare, it sounds so good. And I have this clap, which I learned from Crawler. I think his name is Crawler, I don't remember how. We'll basically take out all the low end and like increase the high end and add a bit of reverb. It gives it such a good sound. Then I layered it with some Dirty Phonic snare and a Oliver snare. Yeah, that's a pretty cool trick that I learned. The rest of the drums are pretty basic. Basically the same techniques that I use for almost all of my songs. So let's go on to the chord stack. So for the chord stack, if I were to take out all of this, like if you would hear that the drop loses almost all of its energy. The main like powerhouse of the drop is basically this atmosphere here. Yeah, so it's very important. I learned this from a few friends of mine, notably Vinka. I reference him a lot. He's one of my best friends, so he taught me a lot of things. You should definitely check out his music too. He's like an amazing artist. So this is my saw bus. It has a camel crusher, it has a EQ, it has reverb, another EQ taking up muddy frequencies, and that's it. That's the main chain. I have a chaos saw, which I learned from AU5. It's basically like you have a normal saw, but instead of making it from unison, you like go to this fine tuning and like mod source it through chaos oscillators, and I think they're here. Yeah, see, to these oscillators right here, and from what I can remember, these oscillators are always random. They will always have a random sound. So if you do them, all of your saws will sound completely unique in sort of way and way more fuller. Obviously, mine don't sound as good as the AU5s, but they sound good enough. I have another saw here, which is basically a saw, your like normal saw with 7 unison, and taking out all fundamental frequencies from the wavetable, so it doesn't have any low end clashing, so it sounds way thinner. And I'm pretty sure I have a reverb. Yeah, I have a reverb routed with the envelope, so when it plays with reverb, but when I let go, the reverb doesn't sort of continue. It's a pretty cool trick to make your saws sound bigger than they actually are. For another layer, I have this crowd noise here. For the atmosphere, this is just a vocal, which I put in Addison and just, you know, washed it out with reverb. And this harp here, sort of harp melody that I found on Cymatic sample pack, and then just added it to this song. And this lead is a Galaxy lead from Oversample. It's such a nice lead. It's so beautiful, so pretty. I have a reverb automation to like bring everything in. Also, everything like the chords and the lead have this reverb automation, so it kind of pulls you back in. Like that. It pulls you back in. It's such a nice sort of thing. So the second part of the drop, this is my most favorite part of the song, to be honest, because I really love how Hylia or Hylia's vocals just sound with the foreman shifter. Like, these are vocals just pitched over to turn off all the effects. It's just like the vocal but pitched up. But if you bring it down with the foreman shifter, which I use this one, it's completely free. You should definitely get this plugin. It's so good. I use it all the time. It's so beautiful. Like, it gives such a like cool overtone, especially with Hylia's vocals. She's just amazing, dude. Like, her vocals sounded perfect for this part, and it's such a beautiful part. I love this part so much. Like, and it has sort of like a similar thing. It goes through sidechain and reverb automation. Now, by itself, it's very harsh and very like annoying because it has distortion. But in the context of the drop, it sounds loud enough where it's not too overpowering, but it's complementary. And you know, anytime that you try and do vocals in a drop and they sound too quiet, instead of adding more gain or volume, use distortion. Not too much where it just destroys the vocal, but just enough where it sounds better. It sounds cleaner in the drop. It works all the time, so, but you just need to be careful. Sometimes it can mess up the mix, so yeah, just be careful with it. Yeah, honestly, this is about it for the first drop. Let's move on to the second part. I'll move on to the 808s part right here because, like I said, this is nothing interesting here. So let's start from here.
Now it appears, trapped in fear. I can feel the pressure, a broken elegy, realm shrouded in darkness, lacking vortex and rapture.
Okay, my CPU is dying. I'll just turn this off. Well, basically, this is the vocoder layer, like all my music. So for this part, I have a very dark layer of Hylia's vocal. It's basically the same sort of thing that I did here, but instead of pitching it up, I pitched it down and then form and shift it up again. It's such a cool thing. So this part is basically like the intro, nothing interesting, to be honest. This part. So for this part, I kind of started with this sort of part, like the drums and 808 going like this. I did this same thing in my KDA Villains remix. If you haven't heard that song, I'll play a little bit of it right now.
Is it really a surprise if I'm playing with your mind and I treat you like a prize and I throw you to the side and am I really that bad?
Yeah, so basically that's the song. But it sounded like, compared to the harp and the vocals, like in the context, I kind of wanted something epic, like since this song is about you know, Legend of Zelda, and Legend of Zelda, I'm pretty sure I've never played the game actually, sadly. But you know, from all I know about Legend of Zelda, it's kind of like a kingdom sort of style, sort of like a cool epic sort of style, and plus this song is pretty emotional and sort of epic too, like the original definitely is. So I added some cashmere drums right here, some orchestral drums, some cinematic drums, and instead of adding like a typical snare, I added some like metallic noises falling, which to me just made it better sounding. It sounded like way more unique, way more like it fitted the song perfectly in this case. And right here, there's a sub drop again, and the 808 switches up notes. And there's another cashmere loop. And there's a ride. In terms of making this 808, it's basically just a serum 808. For mixing, I have a Camel Crusher, a R-Bass mono, and a Sound Godizer A preset, EQ, taking out everything from the highs and high mids, and just a limiter for side chaining purposes. And that's about it for this part. The build up is exactly the same, just with the different sort of drums, but I'll play it just in case. Lights, I still am a shadow. So I guess let's move on to the drop, since the build up is exactly the same. Courage found in the Triforce. Destiny takes course. So for this part, I got a lot of inspiration from Far Out and my good friend Digital Sky. I didn't really want to make the same melodic dubstep drop, because to me it was a bit boring to do the same sort of drop and not do anything different, since it's a different drop. But yeah, so I basically have, like the first drop, slowly. Introduce the basses slowly. I have this kick, Martin Garrix style kick. The big chunky kick. No, the big chunky snare. I have this big chunky snare right here. And yeah, for the drums it's basically kick for the first half. It's the same kick from the first drop. Second half I add some claps and hi-hats to add that rhythm. And there's a riser here, which has sidechain. Yeah, so in terms of everything else, there's a brass here, which I made. This I don't remember. I think it's a serum preset, sub bass, and another sort of noise layer. I don't remember. I like made this like 2 years ago. I had it. I just try to use it, and it fits perfectly. I have this sort of vocals chant thing, which with the sidechain sounds like this. If I were to take all the effects off, it's just this part. There's like an LFO sort of thing that actually gives you the sound. With the sidechain, it just makes it perfect. You know, in context it works perfectly. I'm pretty sure this vocal chant thing is just part of this vocal right here, or the main vocal. I don't remember how I made it, to be honest. It's a part of the vocal, I can tell you that. I don't exactly remember what phrase it was. So for the vocals, I have, you know, the part of the vocal Hylia going.
Courage found in the Triforce. Destiny takes course.
I have like a call and response sort of thing. Like there's a main vocal and then there's a filtered vocal. There's a cyberpunk bass, an acid bass, or I think it's called. It's just a simple saw wave with the filter thing, and a bit of hyperdimension, chorus, and compression. That's about it for the first layer. Second layer is the Moolah layer. If you don't know what Moolah is, it's basically the song from Eliminate, which is one of my most favorite Psytrance songs. I really like this sound, so I made it myself too. It's basically just a sub bass, but with bit crusher. That's it. So it wasn't really like, I had these two layers, but it wasn't really hitting hard even with the sub bass. The sub bass is exactly the same as the first one, just with this sort of MIDI pattern. So it wasn't really hitting hard enough, so I had to add another layer. It's this layer right here. This is basically Vital, a square wave filtered, and you know, a bit of, what is this, chorus? Bit of chorus and soft clipping to have it super wide sort of sound. I'm pretty sure it has unison. No, it doesn't have unison. Well, so a square wave, it sounded like super wide-ish. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember how I mixed it. Yeah, so for mixing, damn, I don't have an EQ on this. Wow, I don't have an EQ on this. Well, okay. I have another atmosphere loop. I always have atmosphere in my drops, even if it's minimalistic drops. In my opinion, it gives it a bit more of a what's it called? A bit more of energy. It's a bit more of like a dynamic. Man, the word isn't really popping in my head. Like, you know, you get the deal. It kind of sounds more interesting.
Courage found in the Triforce. Destiny
So that's basically it. I'll play you the outro and tell you about So for the outro we have the arpeggio going again. I had this melody here, melody and piano, the chords played by the piano. Just gives it a bit more emotion in my opinion. I had the ad-libs again, filtered vocals, a bit crusher, automation. Yeah, so that's basically it for this part. That's basically it for this song. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it was useful, if it was helpful in any sort of way. If you have any questions, do send me a DM on Instagram or just leave it in the comments. As always, if you liked it, then leave a like. If it was any sort of useful to you, maybe consider subscribing. And well, that's about it. If you haven't streamed the song, you should go and stream it. Twolf and Hylia are very incredible artists, and the original is very good too. Like, it's incredible. So if you support these remixes, it will be cool. Like, there are other remixes in the EP and they're very amazing. You should check them out. So that's about it. We'll see you soon, I guess.